This is my business card. It's a nice card. I put some effort into the graphic design and the execution. It's high quality stock, full color printing on both sides, and I've handed out thousands of these business cards. But I don't use them anymore because I found a much more effective business card. Consider, when I want to call a business associate or I want to send them an email, where do I find that phone number or email address? Well, it's not a trick question. It's in my phone. It's in my phone contacts. And so I can look them up in my phone and with one click, give them a call. And even if I don't recall what their name is, I can look through my phone and look for landscaper. There they are. One click and I'm on the phone with them. So when I hand somebody my business card, what I really want to happen is for them to take this information and put it into their phone. But what's the chance of that? More likely than not, most of the cards that I've handed out have been lost or discarded. So I upgraded my business card to a new kind of card. It's this one right here, a digital business card. And the digital business card is far more effective and far less expensive. The cost of this card is a fraction of the price of having a whole bunch of these paper cards printed up, and this works better. You see, I don't give away this card. All I'll do is I'll put this card down on the table and say, set your phone on my card. Or I'll ask them to put this card against the back side of their phone. And then with just a couple of confirming clicks, my contact information is directly imported into their phone. And of course, there's no possibility of typos or errors. They get accurate data, and it's really easy for me to pass on my complete contact information right into their phone. So it's where they're going to be looking for it when they're looking for somebody who can do what I do. So if you'd like to upgrade to a digital business card, stick around and I'll tell you everything you need to know to get started. And if you want to stay in contact with me, please consider subscribing to the channel. To create your own digital business card, we're going to need three things. You need a card, and these are inexpensive and readily available. I'll put some links down below to some examples that you could consider. You're going to need some software on your phone, an app, which is readily available from the App Store or the Google Play Store that allows you to write data to this card. And then finally, you're going to need a website, a personal website presence with a simple page on it that links to your contact information that's stored in a specific format. And that web page will be able to deliver your contact down into the recipient's phone. Now, if at that point you just said, whoa, this is starting to sound complicated and technical, no worries, because there are a number of providers out there who will provide those web services on a subscription basis. But I didn't do that. I did this all do-it-yourself with my own website, and I'll show you how to do that. Let's talk about the card that you need to purchase. Now, because I'm not giving this card away, and it's erasable and rewritable, I don't need to purchase a whole bunch of these cards. This is a card that is similar in technology to the tap-to-pay credit cards or the cards that are used for building security access systems. But it needs to be compatible with the digital business card format. And so I'm going to be looking for cards that contain a chip inside of them called an NTAG chip. And I'll put some links down below to compatible cards that you can peruse. You'll find cards specified with NTAG 213, 215, and 216 chips. They all work identically. I'd recommend the NTAG 215 or 216 because those chips have enough storage to store a complete contact record. You can find these cards in a number of different styles. The least expensive will be just a plain plastic card. For a couple dollars more, you can get one like this, which is made out of wood. And for a couple dollars more than this, you can get one that's made out of metal. So this is just a matter of aesthetics, but do keep in mind that if you get a metal card, the signals cannot pass through that metal. And so a metal card will likely have a small plastic window on the back side of it where the chip is located so it can communicate those radio signals from the card to the phone. You'll notice that the card is completely blank, and there's nothing stopping you from having the card printed, put a label on it, or have it engraved. You might want to consider putting a QR code on the card that takes the user to your website, just like the card does. So in the event that their phone doesn't respond to the card, they could use their phone camera and the QR code to do the same kind of operation. So I invite you to follow those links down below and do some shopping to find a digital business card that suits you. Now, once you've chosen your card, we'll need to get some software on your phone to program that card. And I'm using a program called NFC Tools. It's very popular. It works well. There's versions for Android and Apple. So go out to the App Store and grab a utility for programming your NFC card. Now that you have your card and you've installed a copy of NFC Tools, a free utility, on your iPhone or Android phone, we need to program some data into the card. Now you could use other software than NFC Tools, but this is what I'm familiar with. We need to understand how the card works with the phone, because the action is a little bit different between Android phones and iPhones. With an Android phone, we can write a contact record directly to this card, and that will go into the phone one step. With an iOS Apple device, it's a little bit different in that those devices will only look to this card for a website address, and it will scan that website address and take the user to that website, which is your personal website page that then contains your contact record, which from the website through Safari browser they can click on, and in one click have that imported into their contacts on an Apple phone. So I'm going to program 2 records onto this card with the NFC Tools app. One record is a simple contact, and that'll work with Android phones directly. The second record will be a link to my web page that contains my contact information, and that'll be used by Apple phones. Now, at this point, you might be saying, I don't want to build a website. That's beyond what I want to get into, and you want to contract that out to a subscription service. And so, if that's where you're at, you now need to go chase down a subscription service for digital business cards. Do a Google hunt. You'll find many. And sign up for an account. And on that subscription service, you'll put in your contact information, your name and phone number and email address and so forth. And they will create for you a web page profile, maybe somewhat like a abbreviated version of LinkedIn. And that web page will contain a proper vCard formatted data file, which is what's required for this operation to work. And they'll give you a web link to your profile page on their site that you're subscribing to. And then you can take that web link that came from that service and program it into your card with the NFC program. Alternatively, you can build your own web page and put your contact information on your personal web page and take the link, the URL to your personal web page, and burn it into the card. Now let's launch the NFC Tools application on your smartphone so we can prepare your digital business card. NFC stands for Near Field Communication, and that's part of the Bluetooth family of protocols for talking to nearby devices. When you start the app, it will prompt you to scan a card. And so scan your card with the phone, and you should get some statistical information about that card. Take a look at that information and see what it says for memory capacity. It'll probably be a number between 200 and 800 bytes. And so that's the maximum number of characters, letters, or numbers that we can write to that card. So make a note of that number, because when it comes time to write your data to the card, we need to make sure that the number of bytes of data you're going to write to the card is less than the capacity of the card. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to select the Other on the top of the menu, and then select Erase, and erase any pre-existing data that may be on the card. Now that your card is completely blank, we're going to add two records to the card. A contact record, which is readable by Android phones, and then after we're done with that, we'll add a URL or a website link record, which is what will be used by Apple or iOS-based phones. So to get started, I'm going to click the Right menu along the top of the screen, and then you'll see there's a list of choices that come down below, and scroll down that list of choices till it says Add a Contact Record. Now there's more than one way that we could apply a vCard style contact record onto the card, but this is the most simple approach. You'll be presented with basic contact fields, which you fill in, and then select OK. So we've set up our contact record so it's ready to write, but we haven't written anything to the card just yet. We're going to set up another record, which is a web link record, which will be used by Apple phones. And so to do that, click Create a URL record off of the menu. Now here we're going to enter in the website address of our personal page that contains our actual contact information. If you're self-hosting a website, this will be your website with the page that you want the recipient's phone to pull up when they scan that card. If you're contracting a subscription service to host your information, use the web link that they have provided for you into the field, and then click OK. Now on this page, it shows that we have two records queued up, ready to write to the card. And it tells us how many bytes of data we're going to try to write to the card. Make sure that that number is smaller than the capacity of your card so we can have a successful write. And if it is, you can tap the Write button, and it will send the data that we've entered down and store it into your card. Congratulations, your digital business card is now complete. If you swipe that card on an Android phone, it should pull up the contact information as you entered it into the card. If you swipe the card on an Apple iPhone, it should open up Safari browser and take you to the website link that you entered in the second record that we completed. Make sure that that website link is pointing to your personal information. If you're contracting the service from a service provider, you should see your information at that website and the ability to download your vCard. If you're building your own website, well, let's do that next. For your website, we're going to need a vCard data file. That's a simple text file that ends with the extension .vcf. And this is a properly formatted text file that includes all of your contact information. You can see an example of this on screen right now. You could follow the example on screen and put in your data details and save that file as a vCard file. You could call it vcard.vcf or name it anything you like as long as it's referenced properly by the website. The most simple method of creating a properly formatted vCard file is most likely to use a tool. For example, you could create a contact record in Microsoft Outlook with your information and then choose File, Export that contact as a vCard, and that will create a properly formatted vCard file for you. Alternatively, there are websites that you can go to which will allow you to fill in a form with your information and export out a properly formatted vCard file. So, through the use of one of those tools, it's probably the most simple method of creating a properly formatted vCard file. So, get your vCard file either by hand creating it or using a tool to build a properly formatted file, and then we just simply place that file onto our web server's directory so it can be served up to the public when somebody lands on your page. The next file we need to create is an HTML page. This is the landing page that the user will see when Safari browser pops up, and this page has a link to the vCard file that we just created. Now, on screen, you'll see some very simple HTML code that greets the user and gives them a easy-to-use link that points to the vCard file. Pay particular attention to that link statement about 2/3 of the way down the page. Now, of course, you could name this HTML file anything that you like, as long as the references are consistent between this file and what you've written to your digital business card. And likewise, your vCard file could be named whatever you like, as long as it's referenced inside of this HTML file correctly, so everything can find each other properly. Now, this is a simple HTML file that simply greets the user and invites them to click the link to pull down your contact details. Obviously, by using HTML formatting, you could make this page as pretty and beautiful as you would like. So inside of your web directory, you'll just simply have two files, this HTML file and the vcard.vcf file. Something you may want to consider is opening up your browser on your PC and go to the web page that you just created that contains your vCard information. Then using your browser's menus, choose the menu choice that creates a QR code barcode for that web page. Then you may want to print out that barcode and stick that label onto your digital business card. They could use the camera on their phone to scan that QR code and import your vCard into their contacts via that method. I hope this video has helped you have a better understanding as to how to set up your own digital business card. Much more effective business card than the old-fashioned paper variety. And that it helps you secure more contacts and more business. If you found the video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you take a quick second and give me a thumbs up. And if you like the content here, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you again soon.